Hi everyone, this is Rosa Kelly and I am here with the last part to our adventure mini album. I hope you guys are ready to see it all come together. So today we are going to put everything together. We're going to start by doing the binding, and as I told you on the first video, I wanted to see how much room I need for my spine. So as you can see, this layout is kind of chunky. These ones are not too chunky, but they are very interactive, so I want to make sure they don't touch each other too much, especially because everything has magnets and you don't want the magnets pulling each other. So I think that for this album I'm going to do a 3/4 inch gusset, and I can do a quick calculation so you can see how I figured out what size I need. So let me just bring a little notepad here. I typically don't do this. I already know on the top of my head what my gusset needs to be, but I did do a video about this probably about a year ago, and yeah, so I'll show you how to calculate your spine so you guys can do it if you feel like you want to do your own album. So we have 3 pages. So I'm marking 1, 2, 3, and I want a 3/4 gusset at least in between these 2 pages. I definitely need a 3/4 gusset between the last page and the cover because this page is massive. See that gusset? It's huge. So why don't we just keep it all consistent and we do 3/4 from cover to cover, so then we know that our gusset 3/4 and 3/4 is 1.5, and that's how I add up because I'm not really good with fractions. So then we know our and I know it's so hard to see, but there you go. This is exactly what I did. 3/4 page, 3/4 page, 3/4 page, cover. So then it all adds up to 3 inches, and that is going to be my gusset, or sorry, my spine. So let me go ahead and start cutting. So the album is going to be 10 by 10. So I cut one, I flip it over, and then I cut again, and then I am going to do the same thing here. Okay, so I have my 3 sizes, so 2 10 by 10s and 1 10 by 3, and for this one I'm using some of my scraps from a different project. So I am going to be using some Tyvek. I'm just reusing some envelope that I got on the mail, and I'm just going to glue this down to my Tyvek, and I'm just gonna add some glue here and place it right there on this side, and then I'm going to add glue on this side as well. And place it here. And I am adding the Tyvek because this will be a bit big of an album. It's going to be a 10 by 10 with a 3 inch spine. So we want to make sure that it is going to be strong and secure. So I'm just going to continue wrapping this up. I am going to leave a little gap in between the chipboard, so I'm just gonna add glue here, leaving a little space in between those two, and I'm going to place my chipboard right here, and then I will do the same on this side. So I'm just gonna put the glue here, and add the chipboard leaving a little space in between. And then I'm going to cut the extra. Okay, so then I'm going to use 3 pieces of the 12 by 12 cardstock, and I'm going to cut one at 6 inches. Okay. And then I'm going to join them together. So I am going to basically do the same thing with the Tyvek. I am going to add some double-sided tape now on both sides of the cardstock. And let me grab this here. And so I'm going to do 1 and 2 sides. And then we're just going to put the cardstock pieces and make them into one large piece. So I'm just going to take off the tape. And I'm going to just make sure it is straight. It doesn't have to be perfect because all of these will be covered, but you do want to get it straight as much as you can. And then I'm going to take off the tape over here and just place this on top. And then we're just going to take off the tape and we have a piece like that, one large piece. And now I'm going to take this one out of the bottom and we're going to place this right on top. Now I'm going to flip this over like that, and I'm going to do some double-sided tape on the spine and on the covers as well. Okay, so now I have all the tape, as you can see, and I am going to start by taking off the tape on the spine first. And I am going to add some glue in between the tape pieces just to make sure that every area is covered. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this around and just place it on the center, just like this. And now I'm going to do each one of the sides. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to take off all of the tape and I'm just going to place it, and then I'll do the same with the other side. Okay, so I'm going to add some glue in between the areas with tape. And now I'm ready to put this side down as well. Okay, so now let me get rid of this tape. Because this cardstock, it's a little bit thicker than what I normally use for wrapping. I like to wrap with 65-pound cardstock, but this one is 85. So I'm gonna help this bend a little bit by using my scoring tool and just going around all the sides. So when it bends, the cardstock is not going to crack. So I am also going to take off some of this extra cardstock on the side, just so it's not too bulky when we wrap it. I'll take this one off too. And then I'm also going to line all these corners like this. And make sure you stay a little bit away from the chipboard. So now we're ready to start bending the cardstock. So like I said, this is a thicker cardstock that I usually normally use. And I'm going to help this bend, slowly, so it doesn't crack or anything like that. And I'm just gonna press this down And then I'm going to add my double-sided tape, just the whole way to here. And now I can just simply take off this tape and place this down. Okay, and we're gonna do the other sides as well. Okay, so now we have all 4 sides down, and what we're going to do is just score right here on this gap, just a little bit to help your page or your cover fold without cracking. And we're going to do this. You can also use a ruler to kind of help you fold this over. So here's one side and here's the other side. Okay, so now we have the outside binding ready. So now for the hinges, I'm going to use 2 pieces of cardstock. Now this one are 65-pound cardstock, and I am going to cut this at 9 3/4, and I'm using 2 like I said. So this is gonna be a 3 1/4 inch gusset, and for the hinge, I want a hinge to actually be a 1 inch because it is such a large album and the pages are going to be quite heavy with the interaction, that we want to make sure that it is safe and strong. So I am going to start by scoring at 2 inches, and then I'm going to do 3/4 inches for the first gusset. So that is 2 3/4. Then I'm going to do 1 inch, 1 inch, so 3 3/4, and 4 3/4. And then we're going to do 3/4 inches again, so that will take us to 5 1/2. And then we're going to do 6 1/2 and 7 1/2. And then we're going to need 3/4 again, which is 8 3/4. Now I'm going to start the next one, and I really don't like starting on the hinge itself, so I am going to do 3/4 one more time, and then I'm going to do 1 3/4 and 2 3/4, and that is our third hinge. And then we're just going to end up at 3 1/2, and I'm going to mark at 5 1/2, which is where we are going to cut this page here. So we're going to put together the 1 inches. So the 2 1 inch, 1 inch are going to be the hinge. We're gonna leave the 3/4 inch as the gusset and do the next 2 1 inch, 1 inch. So now we have 2 on this one, and then we have 1 on this one here. So I am going to glue this together. Just like that. I'm gonna press this down, and then I'm going to glue the next 2 1 inches. Press it down. Okay. And I'm using glue because this glue is really strong. So this is the Art Glitter glue. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same on this other side for the 1 inch, 1 inch, and place this down here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is connect these two together. So we have the 3/4 inch and this little leftover. I'm actually gonna leave it, and I am simply just going to glue this 3/4 inch on top of that one. So I think for that one I'm going to use my tape. Just like that. Take that off, and then I'm just gonna take off the tape here, and I'm going to place this one right on top of that tape, and you can also use glue if you like. Okay, so now we have our 3 hinges ready, and then for each hinge we're going to add some double-sided tape. Now this double-sided tape measures 3/8. You could use a wider tape if you have it, or you can just add 2 layers of this tape here. So I'm just gonna do the same to all, and I'm going to do both sides. Okay, so I am done adding the tape on both sides, and now we are going to place the hinge on our base. So what you're going to do is match this very first score line that we did at 2 inches to this gap. Okay, so we're gonna do this just like that, and then you'll see that the last one also lines up, and sometimes it doesn't, so that's okay too. Mine do this time, but that's weird. Usually it doesn't. So I am just going to add glue all over the back. Okay, and this glue dries pretty quickly, so make sure you're fast when you're adding your glue. And we're gonna place this down, and I much rather do glue for a heavy album like this than tape, because sometimes tape with the time tends to, I don't know, come apart. It's happened to me before, and I'm not sure if I used this tape or a different tape. I can't remember, but I always rather do glue when it's a heavy album like this. So even though we have a score line, I am going to rescore this on both sides, and sometimes, like I said, it doesn't match on the back, especially since we're aligning it to the front. So rescoring really helps, making sure that this is going to fold on the right place. Okay, so now I'm going to use my ruler again and just help this bend, and I'll do the same here. And there we go. Now we are ready to add the pages. So I am going to start with page number 1. So I am going to peel off both of these tapes to the side, and I'm gonna find the center like this, and I'm gonna insert into my hinge, and make sure you go down, but leave a little room between the spine and your page, so you have, you know, room to open your pages flat. Now make sure that you are centered, because the page is 10 inches and the cover's also 10 inches. So make sure that we are flush all the way to the bottom. And now that I have it where I want it, I'm just going to take off these tapes. Then I'm gonna turn it over and take off the tape back here as well. Remember, we have 2, so you have to grab both. It's hard to see, but here we go. Take off those 2 tapes, and now we have the first page. We're going to do the same with the other 2. Okay, so now I have the 3 pages added into the album, and we can work on the inside front cover and the back cover. Now my back cover, I already know it's going to be pretty flat because I have this very bulky piece in here. And so when we look at it from the top, I think I already used all my gusset space with just this interactive feature. So I will keep this one mostly plain. So I am going to cut a piece of 9 3/4 by 9 3/4 to simply cover the inside page here. So let me bring this back over here, and I'm just going to glue this straight down into the cover. So I guess I meant to say inside cover. All right, so we're just gonna place this down. And now I will cut another one for the back, but first let's work on the front inside cover. So I am going to use a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut this at 9 3/4 by 9 3/4. We are going to fold this page in half, just like this. Okay, so I'm gonna go all the way up and down, and then I'm gonna open this up, and I am going to cut right along the half, but I'm not going to cut it all the way through. I'm going to leave an inch from the top and an inch from the bottom. So we're gonna place these into our cutting board, and I'm going to measure 1 inch here and go all the way to 8 3/4, which is probably about an inch from there. And it doesn't have to be exact. Okay, so now I'm gonna slide this over just a little bit, and I'm going to do the same cut, and I'm going to slide this over to the other side and do the same cut. So now I'm gonna open this up and cut these 2 lines out and cut these 2 out, just like that. So now we have this opening piece. So then I'm going to use a piece of 2.5 by 9, and I'm just using my scrap pieces. I'm going to score at 3 and at 6, and then I'm gonna fold this in just like that, and then I'm going to fold this out again like so, and I'm gonna do the same on this side. I'm gonna fold this in on the score line, and then I'm going to fold this out like this, and I have a piece that looks like so. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to this page, and we are going to pass this through the center, just like so, and this is going to be going up and down like that. So before I do that, we're going to glue these 2 pieces to the base. So I'm going to glue this side and this side. Okay, so I'm just gonna glue that and that. So now we have something like this. I'm gonna place this down here, and then we're ready to place this onto the base, just like that. So I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna hold it so it doesn't slide out, and it shouldn't slide out, but I am just simply going to glue around the edges like this, and then some of the sides here where you know it's not going to interfere with this piece. So I'm just gonna go just a little bit here as well. And now I am ready to put this down on my album. So now I'm gonna use this image from the ephemera piece, and I am just gonna back it some cardstock to make it more sturdy and strong. So I'm just going to fuzzy cut this around. So I have this piece backed on the cardstock, and now I'm just going to glue it here on this little what do you call this? I don't know, but I'm just going to do like a little square piece here and add this with glue, just like that. And now I'm ready to place this right here. So now I'm going to need 4 pieces of 4.5 by 9 inches. And I am going to fold them in half, just like that. I'm gonna do the same to all of them. So now I'm gonna glue these pieces into the base here. So I'm going to make sure these opened up before I glue them. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm gonna place this one here. And then I'm going to do this one again. Make sure it opens up. And just like here. Okay, and then I'm gonna slide this up. And I'm going to do the other two. And the other two, I'm going to make sure they open down when I glue them. So I'm just gonna add my glue and place this right here. And the last one, same thing, it's going to open down. And we just place it right here. And then when we slide this to the center, this will be the closure for these 4 layouts. And then we can go ahead and cover this up. So this layout to cover that. So these are 4 by 4 pieces. So they should fit perfect. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and glue this down. Okay, so now I have the 4 pieces covered and we can work on the cover. Okay, so we are going to get started with the cover. So I selected this page to kind of use as my spine. I love how neutral it is. It will go with anything in this collection, really. And then I'm thinking for the front, this design that is really fun. And I am actually, and then maybe I can use this for the back. They kind of look similar. I'm going to cut this at 9 3/4 by 9 3/4. Place this here, and I'm kind of just going to see how everything looks together before I glue it down. So I'm going to cut the image. I only want to use this monster truck, so this I'm definitely going to fuzzy cut around. So I'm just going to go kind of around the car and the trees and the monsters. Okay, so here is the monster truck, and then I decided to back this image on this cardstock here. I think it looks really pretty and it's going to give it a nice frame. So let me move this to the side, and let's just, I'm going to glue it first, and then I'm just cut just going to cut around it. And I'm just going to offset it just a little bit so we have a nice frame. And then I'm going to cut just right there and just right here. And now I have a nice piece to put over here, and because I want to give it dimension, I am going to use some of my scrap pieces of chipboard to raise that up a little bit. So I am going to cut 2, and let's make sure these are the same size, just something like that. So I'm going to use, put that on the side. I'm going to just glue this on the back, just right there. And now I'm going to glue this other one, just like that. And now I think I'm ready to add this cover, this front cover. And I want the cover to be fairly simple so the album can lay flat and we can, you know, fully display all the interaction that is in there. That's what I try to do with all my interactive albums. Otherwise, if the front is too bulky, it's hard to lay the pages flat, and it's hard to, you know, use the interactive elements that we have inside the album. So I am going to glue this here now. I think I'm ready. And well, actually, let me make sure. I'm going to put this one here too, but let me make sure that I have this where I want it. I think I'm gonna have this to the side and that on the top. And I think I'm also going to raise this up into, you know, with chipboard. And maybe I'm trying to see if I should back these. I think I do want to back it just so I can get a nice frame around it as well. And also you make it a little bit more sturdy when you back it on something. So I'm just gonna try to glue this as best as I can. And then I'm just gonna fuzzy cut around it one more time. So I have this piece backed on that cardstock, and I also added some chipboard on the back to give it dimension. So I'm gonna put those two aside, and I'm gonna cut this page at 9 3/4 by 6. Okay, and this is going to go on our spine. So what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do this one before I add the elements on the front, is I'm kind of just going to place this like this. So we're gonna give it a soft bend, just like this. And then I'm gonna take that out, and I'm just going to add some glue just here on the center. And I'm gonna place this again. Make sure it's center, up and down. Okay, and then I'm just going to wrap it around like that. And then I'm going to add my glue on this side. And I'm gonna just hold it here for a second. So now I'm going to glue this piece on the back cover. This piece measures 9 3/4 by 9 3/4, just like the front piece. And I am just going to add this right here. And then I'm going to continue gluing my spine piece. So I'm just going to apply some glue, especially on the corners. Okay, make sure you get the corners. And then I'm going to just press this down. Okay, so now we're gonna go back to the front, and now that I have this added, I can go ahead and center this image to just this part right here. So I am going to glue my chipboard and here as well, and I'm just gonna place it right up here, and then this monster truck will go right here on the side. So again, I'm just going to add my glue on the chipboard pieces. And I'm just gonna place this down in this corner. So then I'm going to use the chipboard from the collection. This is the chipboard phrases, and this one says "Let's go everywhere," and I love it. So I am going to glue it. I always like to make sure that it is glued really good. So I am going to place this here on my spine. So then I'm going to use this chipboard sticker that says "Sweet Boy," and I am going to place that right here. And then I'm going to use this piece from the Ephemera. I think it's from the frames and tags. And I'm going to take the inside out of it, and I'm going to glue the frame just right on this corner like this. Okay, and then for the inside, I'm going to back it on some chipboard to give it some volume. And I'm just gonna place that back in there. And then I'm gonna put this inside the frame again. Just like that. So we give it a little volume and make it stand out a little more. And here we go. So I think we're done with the cover. I want to keep it clean and, you know, not too much on the cover since we have a lot going on the inside of the album. I will finish this up off camera, and then I'll come back and do the final walkthrough of the album like I normally do. So here we can put something like this. I think that's really cute. I was thinking on doing this one first, but I think I like this one better. So yeah, so I still need to add little details like that. So I hope that you guys enjoy this tutorial. I will do the final walkthrough and get it recorded as soon as I can. And so yeah, don't forget to visit JS Hobbies and Crafts. All the supplies will be on the description box down below. And I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.